I think you're on mute mode.
So fine. So we start for today's class. It will be about a very important question which can be asked from any direction aspirants, which is 3 stages of filmmaking, which is called pre-production, production, and post-production. You might have a feeling that you know a lot, but when you really have to write down, you have to be very, very systematic in your approach. Since everything for last 25 years is in my mind, so I have not prepared a PPT as such, but PPT is just a guideline for me to be on the track and focus so that I will not move left, right, here and there and get unfocused. So question would be, I would also send you these questions from the previous discussion and all that. And I was not able to do that, but I would do it surely soon, within this week time. So the question may be asked is, what are the 3 stages of filmmaking, and describe each stage with a word of, say for example, 250 words each. Okay. So I will be talking in a more detail because this is a one question. They can ask a similar question about, in a different sense of the term, describe the pre-production of filmmaking in a 500 words. They may ask, describe production of filmmaking in a 500 words. They might ask, describe about various steps involved in the post-production in 500 words. So there are 3 stages. I will try to cover all these 3 stages within these 2 days time. But if you have a question in between, you can raise your hand and you could ask. Okay. So that's going to be the format. So once your script is written and you have a producer on board, now how you would proceed? That is what the questionnaire, that is what the question is all about. So you have your script ready and you have a producer who want to finance your film. Now, which are the steps you would go one by one? So first thing is, in a filmmaking, the very, very first thing is, who are going to play the lead? So step number 1 is to find the lead actors or actress or lead characters, or in a better language, find the stars, lead star, male or female. Now you may have in your mind to think of Akshay Kumar or Vidya Balan or something else. But if you are a newcomer, for example, they never heard about you, so they would like to see your work. But you have done some short film, you have done some documentary, you should have a portfolio for sure. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for them to convince, even if the producer is seasoned. Seasoned producer means, what does it mean? First, let me just tell you who is the producer. Producer is a person, it look very strange to you, you know about producer and all that. No. Somebody who has a money is basically a producer. But if filmmaking, if you just have a money, there are 10 people who are ready to rob you, who are ready to cheat you. So you need to have a certain kind of a experience of filmmaking. So producer is a person who has money or who can manage money, who can borrow money from bank and lenders and here and there, and he can manage money. And he has the experience of filmmaking in terms of producing certain films, because producing does not mean that making a film. You also need to release the film. You need to also sell the film. So not just the producing, but you should be able to sell the film also. So basically, first step is to find the lead actors. Now, lead actor could be a star, lead actor could be a non-star. If your film is a low budget film, say for example 1 crore, you cannot afford a star. You could afford some character artist who would come on a budget of, say for example, 1 lakh rupees a day. So 10 lakh will go into that, something like that. But if you're looking for a big budget film, then obviously you need a star. So first thing is to zero in the star, male or female. You always have a list of priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. Priority 1, people are busy for 5 years, or maybe 3 years, or maybe they are not willing to work with you. B, your producer may not be able to access them because he don't have a network to access them, but let's assume that he has a network to access them, and they refuse. So what are you going to do? You have to think of a plan B, which means second priority. Second priority, people are not interested in your story, they have a busy schedule or whatever it is. Then you comes with a priority C. So A, B, C, you have a three priorities: priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So I would say 3 male star and 3 female star. If your film has a male and female actor and actresses, if it is just a women oriented, then it's fine. Only one person you have to zero in. But normally there is a hero and heroine. We'll call it like this. So once your star is locked in terms of the money part, then the next stage comes the dates. So you have to work reverse. You don't have to work with the dates of the extra and other people. You have to work according to the dates available of the lead actor and actresses. So second is what? The dates. First is the confirmation of the lead and actor and actresses. Second is their dates. So they says that I can give you 10 days in this particular month, and then I would give you 10 days after 3 months or 4 months. Lead actress says, no, I can give you only 5 days. So you have to plan your things in such a way that you will finish first schedule of 5 days with her and 5 days with your lead actor. We call it as a scheduling. We will come to that later on. So scheduling is a part of production plan, a pre-production plan, how you plan the things. So these are the one of the steps. We'll discuss the scheduling little later on, much more detail. So primarily you fix up the dates, then you come to the rest of the cast, because film don't revolve around lead actor and actresses. There are 10 to 20 other small characters. So there comes a person called casting director. Casting director will not help you for the lead because that is in your mind and that is also in the mind of producer. They, you know, the well-known people. If it is an unknown people, if you're looking for a new people, then obviously casting director would come into a play. So you think of the secondary crew. Secondary crew means a second stage of actor and actresses who are going to play the small roles, maybe for 5 days, 4 days, 10 days, 8 days, depend upon the plan you have for them. So you zero in the secondary cast, which are the people who will, nobody will go to watch the film on the basis of them, but they are important because you need mother, father, brother, sister, friends, and other secondary characters. So you zero in the dates as well as their pricing, etc., with as per the dates available with the lead character and lead actress. But if their dates are not available, then you will think of some, again, plan B, actor and actresses, and plan C, because all these people are secondary people. Nobody would go to watch a film because of them. People go to watch a film because of the lead actor and actresses, if there happens to be star. So you work out the dates of the people who are secondary stars or the secondary character artists. I prefer to call it as a character artist. Now, once that is decided, now you come to the technical crew. Who is going to be the art director? Technical crew is the person where there could be, again, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, always, depending upon the budget, depending upon your liking. Producer is not interested that you work with so-and-so person. Producer is interested in the budget, that you want to work with the art director. Your budget is 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Let me figure it out who are the people, or you as a director can also suggest, but it will depend upon the budget of the film. So if your budget is 10 lakhs, you will find the people who are available in a budget of 10 lakhs. If your budget is 1 crore, you will find the art director who can work in a budget of 1 crore. So then the comes of technical crew in terms of the cameraman, editors, sound recordist, art director, costume designer, makeup man. These are the major 7 departments which I have just mentioned. Beside that, there could be some other people like special effects, if it is a big budget film. There could be some other people, if it is abroad, then you need the location coordinators. We will talk about that when we talk about the locations. So depend upon action director. If your film has a lot of action, then you need the action director also. If it is a special action, then you need the people from abroad also. So all these people are required from various departments who are the head. Head of the departments are normally 8 to 10, as I just said. Then you zero in those people as per your availability of the dates, that you need these people on so and so date, and accordingly you would think about those people. It is just their competency which counts, not their name. Nobody is going to watch the film because the special effect is done by so and so. Nobody watches a film because the special effect is done by so and so. Shrikant Shah, ask a question.
Yes, sir. It's Srinath Shah.
Sorry.
Sir, who are line managers, sir?
Okay, these are the various terms: line producer, executive producers, and things like that. So I have a video which I will share with you, who explain all these kind of production manager, executive producers, online producer, line producer. All these terms are being explained in that video. Watch it so that I will not waste your time. This is my answer.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I would move to another statement level. Once you zeroed in the technical crew, now you need to have a meeting with them to have a detailed discussion. Detailed discussion in the sense, would you like to edit the film on the set? Would you like to do the sync sound of the film? Would you like to have a 3-camera setup or multi-camera setup? So all these head of the department meetings are happening. Some meetings happen in joint collaboration, some meetings happen separate. Depend upon the person to person. I have already told you the script is locked. So script writer is out, dialogue writer is out, these people are already out. They have done their job, that's it. A good director will not hire, will be a good director if his dialogue writer is sitting on the set and writing the dialogue. Many people do it. On the set, I have seen many people doing the dialogue rewriting and things like that, but no. As a director, you have to be 200% sure that this is going to be my dialogue, this is going to be my scene. Yes, there could be a possibility that you would also improvise your dialogue as per the convenience of the actor and actresses, or their suggestions and the co-actor suggestions, or your associate director suggestion. So that would be incorporated, but normally it is 90% locked. A good director is one where there are 90% dialogues are locked. Scenes are locked. So we are not talking about that. We are talking about the rest of the technical crew. Now, all these technical crew have an individual meeting. Say, for example, these 3 videos which I will share with you tomorrow. Some of them are, I'm not sure whether all the videos are there on the YouTube channel, because what we do is normally some of the classes which are conducted for the direction student in craft film school, they are really interested and useful for FTI preparation also. We will share it on our YouTube. But if there are 6 lecture, 3 days lecture, we might just share 1 or 2, not the third one, because everything is not free. You have to pay for it. People who have paid to learn the direction in FTI in craft, they paid the 1,50,000 rupees fee. So we make sure that everything will not be offered free of cost to people who are looking for free thing in the YouTube. But yes, we do share sometime 1 or sometime 2, not more than that. Not all, everything. Everything is not shared at all. So I will share with you people all these 3 video links. Only difference will be that you will not be able to ask a question because the person is gone, and that's the difference between a classroom and offline. You would be able to watch and try to learn whatever you could learn. Okay, so that's one thing. We got the classes of 2019. Won't we get the recent ones? No, these classes what you got of 2019 are the FTI coaching classes. These classes were specially conducted for the FTI coaching. But you have got it. I am talking about certain videos which are meant for direction course student of craft film school, where they have paid a fee of 1,50,000 rupees. I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about the lecture which you have already got it. That was specifically meant for only FTI coaching program, what is useful for them. Not for, there's so much in about the direction which you might be able to learn in FTI, provided you crack it. But if you don't crack FTI, how you would learn? So you have to join some other institution. So these classes are meant for the student who are full-time craft film school student. So coming to the answer, what I was talking about. So we will discuss, you will discuss with the individual head of the department. Say for example, costume. So you would discuss the costume requirement and you will calculate the budget according to the costume required. You have given, there are two ways the costume department works. One, you have given the head of the money, head of the department, that you will pay 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakhs. And then whatever the cost of producing the costume would come, that would be separate. That is a A. That is a B, in which you give the whole soul lump sum budget to them. Normally people don't work like that because the budget could go haywire here and there. So they take their own fees and you spend the money directly to the people, whosoever from where the costume are being hired or stitched or thing like that. You get the material, your person would pay for them, your person would pay for the stitchers, trailers, etc., etc. They will just do the guiding to them, and that's it. That's one of the ideal way to work it. So costume department will tell you the requirement of their costume and how much and when would be required. Similarly, the art direction will tell you that so many sets are required, and art direction will also tell you certain location in which certain props will be required. You need to dress up the set, you need to dress up the location. It is not that everything available on the location is right. I mean, you may have to change the thing like that. The properties, the colors of the properties, the walls color. So art director would give you his requirement. Cinematographer would give you a requirement. Now this I would discuss in a little more detail because it's a technical department. So first I'll finish with the rest of the thing. Then I would devote a little more time on the cinematography department. So sound recordist will give you the requirement of his microphone and how much rest of the equipment is required. And say for example, if it is a film like Nirja, in which entire film happens inside the plane. So they need so many microphones, maybe 50 microphones, 60 microphones, and how they will be clamped and how. So there's an interview by Subhash Sahu for our magazine called Cinematography Art, in which he talked about his experience of working with the. You need to read a lot about various interviews of these technicians if you want to be a successful director. Successful in the sense, if you really want to understand direction. So direction is something which is that I'll tell you a little joke. Somebody asked this question to Jerry Pinto many years back, that what is the job of a director? So he said the job of a director is to see that everybody else is doing his job properly. Now, how do you know that cinematographer is doing his job properly? Till you know about cinematography, till you know about art direction, till you know about this. So only then you can say that these people are doing their job properly. So you need to understand all these various departments very, very thoroughly. Otherwise, nothing will happen. So I was talking about sound recordist. He would talk about the microphones. He would talk about the speakers and things like that. And he will give you a list of all the requirement and budget, etc., etc. And then you hire it out for the sound recordist. Some of the people are a team. Say, for example, Vishwadeep Chatterjee worked with one particular location sound recordist. So he would do the location sound and Vishwadeep would do the post-production of sound in terms of the studio, mixing, track laying, cleaning, etc., etc. Nihar would do the location. So there is a team up of a couple of people. One would do the location, one would do the studio sound, post-production of the studio sound in terms of track, which happens inside the studio. He never goes to the location. So there is an expert who do the location sound. Now, depend upon the requirement, you may not use the location sound in terms of in your final film. That soundtrack could be just for the reference. So we will talk about specifically the sound post-production and other thing. Right now, I'm just mentioning the departments. Then rest of the department, sometimes there's a collective meeting. For example, cinematographer would like to meet the costume designer and art director because this is a part of the visual. What color I would wear? What would be my background? Background is art direction and what I'm wearing is my costume. So costume and background, which is art direction, and the lighting, which is the cinematographer department. All these three things put together for which a cinematographer is responsible. If I do not like this blue of this color of Kieslowski's poster, I should have told the director that I want a poster which is of a warmer color. And why did the hell you put a cooler color poster here? So all these discussion would happen because to remove this poster from the glass it will take 2 hours. So I'm wasting the 2 hours of the set because I did not clarify the requirement to the art director. So anyone who wastes the time is the money. Like here, there are 16 people over there. At 6 o'clock, there were 10 people. So 6 people missed out what I said in the beginning. So if you want to be a director in your life, make sure that you are always before time about everything what you do in your life. Otherwise, nobody is going to bank that 10 crore rupees on you. In the morning, whether you go to FTI, Timbuktu, whatever place, these are just the mechanism to become something else, which is called director. So when you go with a script and say, I'm from FTI, it has a no value. Remember it. Don't be under the impression that if you are from FTI, there would be a red carpet treatment. No, not at all. All the struggle to become a director would remain same. So your good script, you as a personality, you as a knowledgeable person, you as a disciplined person, sincere, hardworking, all these things would be count. It is a 10% weightage would be given to you if you are from a graduate from FTI. Ask me, I'm talking from experience. Okay? So don't be under the impression that you are from FTI, there's a red carpet treatment. No, not at all. So how much knowledgeable you are, all these things I don't want to repeat again. So the point is, you as a director who is being hired by a producer, if you waste the time, producer has a person on the set, he is checking everything. Who is wasting the time? Did the direction give did the cinematographer give the correct requirement to the art director? No. So he'll be out. If you fool around, if you mess up over there, Aloo, Pyaz, Tomato is equal to cameraman, editor, sound recordist. Read it again. I'm repeating it. Aloo, Pyaz, Tomato is equal to cameraman, editor, sound recordist. They can be replaced by anybody else who is competent. So if you waste the producer's money, you're out. Simple. I have seen big cinematographer thrown out just like that because they fool around on the set. So if you waste the producer's money, you're out. Money is not money only, time is also money. If I as a cinematographer wasted the 2-hour time on the set by replacing this color called blue by a warm color, production manager would note it down, tell the producer that so and so cinematographer today, he did not give the correct instruction to the art director, or he give that instruction correctly to the art director, but the art director did not pay attention and he put up some other nonsense. So whosoever is at a fault, people don't want to work with them. Maybe he will tolerate you for 5 days, 10 days more, maybe with that one particular film because it is in between. He will not replace you, but next time he will not work with you. So make sure that everything should be in a writing, so there should not be any confusion. So if I would give my requirement, I would give it in a writing. If I don't give them in writing, I will not be able to prove it. How I will prove that I said that put the yellow color, not the blue color? This should have been in writing. So many important things should be communicated with other people in writing. Otherwise, it will not help. So all these department meetings are over. Their requirements are being given. Now comes the cinematographer. Why I am talking about cinematographer? Because I have experienced of 12 years in the industry and I have seen people fooling around. They don't give the requirement in writing and they mess up and they waste a lot of time. So first thing is, once you are being decided that this person is going to work as a cinematographer, you would decide 2 things. Location, first of all, which are the location you will work with. Particularly the cinematographer's department is to work with in collaboration with the director about variety of locations which he would like to shoot. A. B. Whether it is going to be a set or whether it is going to be a location. If it is going to be a location, then what are the changes he wants to be done at the time of location so that it can be shot. Okay. And C, a most important thing is the raw stock, what kind of raw stock you would use, what kind of camera you will use, what are your lenses which you're going to. So all that requirement as per the budget. Remember, whether you're a big cinematographer, whether you're a small cinematographer, you will be paid your price. But the camera, lenses, tripod, lights, trolley, crane, etc., would be decided as per the budget. What is the budget of the film? So within that budget, your camera lenses would be fit into it. One of the aesthetic requirement is something called aspect ratio. What aspect ratio you would like to shoot? Okay, so I would like to just share a particular image if I can quickly find it. Otherwise, I will just play this video for you. It's a 5 to 7 minute. It's a very, very important video about the aspect ratio, which is not a cinematographer's department, but which is a department of the direction people. They would need to decide. Watch it carefully. I'm just trying to put it correctly over here. Okay. I think this is 5 minutes. So watch it carefully and then we will discuss.
What's an aspect ratio? It's the ratio of a video's width to its height, expressed as two numbers. For example, pre-HD TVs had an aspect ratio of 4:3, meaning they were 4 units wide and 3 units tall. Whereas modern HD TVs have 16:9 aspect ratio, meaning 16 units wide by 9 units tall. In cinema, the most popular aspect ratios used are 185:1 and the wider 239:1, which is often interchanged with 235 or rounded up to 2:4. But recently, a lesser-known ratio has started to take hold, the 2:1 aspect ratio. Today, we're going to go over how filmmakers like David Fincher are using this ratio to tell their stories in unique and eye-catching ways. So what's the deal with 2:1, and why is it showing up more and more now? This is what is 2:1. But before we get started, subscribe and click the bell for more filmmaking videos. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about Vittorio Storaro. A 3-time Oscar winner, Storaro has been the DP on some films you may have heard of. In the late 90s, it was deemed by the entertainment industry that the 16:9 ratio of HD TVs would be an ideal format to contain both the narrowest aspect ratios, like 4:3, all the way through the very wide ratios, like 239. Storaro's concern was that 185 and 239 on a 16:9 screen would appear too awkward, requiring letterboxing or cropping. So he proposed a new universal film format. Storaro dubbed it Univision, which translates to Unity of Images, to unify all theatrical and television projects, 2:1, meaning the aspect ratio is twice as wide as it is tall, wide enough to satisfy the cinematic desires of a theater audience.
Sir, can you play the sound? We cannot hear the sound.
Storaro said.
Say again. दोबारा बोलिए. आवाज नहीं आ रही, क्या बोल रहे हैं आप?
सर वो बोल रहे थे साउंड बढ़ाने के लिए, साउंड नहीं आ रही थी उनको.
मैक्सिमम साउंड है बेटा. आवाज तो आ रही है ना?
हाँ सर आ रही है.
म्यूट तो नहीं है ना? हाँ, this is the maximum sound.
Any movie, no matter how big or small, successful or not, will, after a very short life on the big screen, have a much longer life on an electronic screen. So, let's compare 2:1 with the ratios we already know and love. 185 is a taller aspect ratio. It's great at featuring tall subjects, whereas 235 is a wider aspect ratio and is often used in movies that feature epic landscapes. With 2:1 being somewhere in the middle, it provides us with similar grand landscapes you get with 235's width, without losing the benefits of 185's height. As a result, it's proven itself to be a versatile or safe option for most any genre. In both Hereditary and Midsummer, writer-director Ari Aster credits 2:1 with giving his films wide scope without sacrificing headroom for his characters. DP John Schwartzman and director Colin Trevorrow also used 2:1 for Jurassic World as a happy medium. Spielberg knew that 185's tall aspect ratio was best for framing its characters and dino friends. But Schwartzman and Trevorrow still wanted to keep the epic width of 239:1. We can take in the vast expanse of the island and surrounding jungle, while also featuring the film's taller subjects. If there's one place you've noticed 2:1, it's on your TV. David Fincher was the executive producer for the first Netflix original, House of Cards. While they could have stuck with the traditional 16:9 aspect ratio, as seen on most TV shows, the show utilizes 2:1 to emulate a cinematic look featuring close-ups and wide shots in equal measure. All without losing the height of 185 or the scope of 239. Stranger Things has also taken advantage of 2:1. Series DP Tim Ives has said that he and the Duffer Brothers wanted to make a show that was, quote, more cinematic than what TV audiences normally watch. This is all fueled by 2:1's wider frame, producing light letterboxing on 16:9 televisions, giving audiences the impression of what Ives calls an event. If you want to find that happy medium between capturing drama and environment, the 2:1 aspect ratio just might be the ticket. More movies are now keeping the height of a tall cinematic aspect ratio with the scope of a wide one. And TV shows are evoking the look, feel, and language of a theater experience. The rise of 2:1 has proven just how forward-thinking Vittorio Storaro really was. As you approach the shot list for your next project, would you consider using 2:1? In Studio Binder, you can toggle between aspect ratios so you can see the differences. In the description, you'll find links below to articles on the Studio Binder blog. Subscribe to us as we continue our coverage of filmmaking techniques. Oh, and don't forget to enable notifications.
Okay, so this was aspect ratio, a very, very important thing to be decided by the director, not by the cinematographer. Remember it carefully, not the cinematographer. So what exactly happens in this season of the aspect ratio? Suppose you're shooting, okay, anybody has a question? Then I would continue myself. Ask, listen.
So, is this aspect ratios conveys a mood of the film? Actually, how the mood of the film will be?
Yes, very much, very much. Because if it is a film in which two people are talking inside the room, there's one film by a Polish director, a very famous Polish director. I'm just not able to immediately remember his name. He has a very soft corner for India. Whenever his films are screened, the International Film Festival of Goa and other places, films are well loved by people. There's one particular film in which two people are talking inside the room. So when two people are talking inside the room, what kind of aspect ratio is required? 1:33. I may ask this question in the interview. If you, for some reason, that you get qualified in the written exam, don't think you are being selected. No, you would be interviewed. You would have a thorough checkup for 5 days. They will see your nuts and bolts and bones and etc. Everything. And then they will choose 10 people who has a thorough understanding of the technical medium. Director is a person who is technically well versed. So if I ask you a question, for example, if there is a story in which two characters are talking inside the room, what aspect ratio you would choose to shoot a film? You can't say CinemaScope. You say CinemaScope, you're out. 1:85, you're out. You say 2:1, out. Only traditional Academy 1.33, which was the earlier aspect ratio of the television, that is required. Why? Because two people talking, that is enough of a space for head and vertical to shoot in terms of shooting aspect ratio. Okay, so it definitely important as per the requirement of the film. Is it a talking people, 2-3 people talking inside the room, or it is a landscape, or it is action? Some compromise between CinemaScope versus 1:33 is 1:85, which is called European wide gate. 1.85 is called European wide gate. What exactly is this difference between 1:3385 and beside the length and width aspect ratio? Now what happened is the negative size will remain same. You need to understand that. Picture negative side would remain same, only the height would become less and more. If it is 3:3, it is this. If it is 8:5, it has become this. So you get the feeling of CinemaScope, but it is not CinemaScope. You get the feeling of CinemaScope. So in Europe, art house cinema got developed and they realized the auditorium are very small. People want to have a feeling of CinemaScope, but if we project 1.23, then it will be too much problem for a head to watch when you are in a small auditorium sitting in the front row. So they came out with a aspect ratio of 1:8.5, which is like a cinemascope, but not exactly cinemascope, which gives a feeling of cinemascope. That's why it's called a European wide gate. It is wide enough to be quite close, not exactly, but 1.8, 1.2, 2.3, there's a lot of difference, but you get a feeling of it. So what exactly you do is the gate would be changed inside the camera. Ground glass would also be changed if it is required. Otherwise, ground glass also has a marking of 1:8.5. Ground glass is something on which you see the image inside the viewfinder of a camera. So ground glass may be replaced. It could be 1:3.3 having a marking of 1.85. Gate would be replaced inside where the picture would run through and image will be formed. And to project an image which is made on normal gate, normal lenses, a similar kind of lenses would be required to project the film. But if your film is a cinemascope, then the image on the picture negative would look compressed. It is a particular property of the anamorphic lenses which we use for cinemascope, which is very heavy lenses, and they will compress the image. So when you have a picture positive, it will also be compressed. But when it is projected in the cinema hall, it gets decompressed and you get the 2.33 wide aspect ratio, enough to get the feeling of larger than life of a cinemascope. So this is the primary difference. Purushottam Gogoi.
Why it has to be 1.33 when two people are talking? It can be anything on a depends on the.
See, what I'm trying to say is that not so much of an action is involved when two people are talking inside the room. As I said, that one of the film of this Polish director, I will recollect the name and then I'll tell you. So not so much of an action is happening. Left-right space is not required. 1:3.3 is good enough for, and I think the film was also shot on 1:3.3, that particular film. So it's a requirement of the script which will determine the aspect ratio of the film.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Conversation plus outside, some romantic sequences, maybe some little bit of action, 1:8.5 is good. But if it is a war sequence, if it is a larger than life and big scale is there, then either 1:2.3 or 1:2. As the Sorado said, it's a very ideal format, which is shot. In India also many films are being shot into 1:8.5. Earlier national awarded film were preferred on 1:3.3, but the mindset has changed. They have given national award to film which is cinemascope, shot by a direct DOP. So depend upon Anil Mehta shot a film which got the national award, so which was a cinemascope film. Not necessarily 1:3.3 has to be the aspect ratio, which was the mindset earlier for a national award winner cinematographer, but the mindset has changed. It could be 1.23, 2.3, which is cinemascope. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So your aspect ratio is being decided. Your lenses are being decided. Your camera is being decided. Which camera you are going to use? Why are you going to use this camera? Sometime camera requirement depend upon the sound. Earlier I am talking about the 35 days. If the sound is going to be used later on, which we call it as a pilot recording, which means the sound has to be clean, which means the camera should not be able to make a noise. So Arri 2C, Arri 3, these were the camera were creating a noise. So that noise would also be picked up by the microphone. So if you are going to use the dialogue later on, so you need to have a silent camera, which is called blimp camera. So either BL series, BL3, BL4, BL4S, or Arri 435, which is a silent camera. So those cameras were used, which will not create a noise. It is called blimp sound. Blimp cameras, which will not create a sound. It will create a sound, but it will be heard only to the cameraman and his assistant, not to the actors. Microphone will not pick it up. Okay. But now everything is digital, so camera don't create a noise. So you could use the sound. So no special kind of cameras are required as such, because the digital cameras don't create the noise by itself. That's one of the reason, one of the important reason I would say. And as over the previous 435 camera, they might ask you this kind of questions in the interview. What is the major difference between a digital camera and ARRI 2C, for example? Tell me one difference. So answer would be, those camera will create a noise, digital camera will not create a noise. That's how they would evaluate your intelligence. Is it too much of a technical question? Is it some circuit diagram need to be understand? Is it you have to be a graduate from IIT? No. Simple. But if you don't understand this much, please don't come. Go somewhere else, don't come. Because they need to choose out of 1200 people 10. What kind of 10 people would be selected? Who has prepared enough about the basic fundamental of filmmaking? And this is a question of basic fundamental of filmmaking. This is not a technical question. You might be thinking that, array, this is a technical question. This is a technical for you because you have not studied so far. When you will study it, you will understand that it's not a technical question. Technical question is the circuit diagram or motherboard of a computer. That is technical question. They are not asking that. Okay. So some kind of basic technical understanding is required from a director if you want to go to FTI. Otherwise, forget about it. Don't waste your time and energy if you are not willing to understand the technicalities. Okay. So once you have decided the camera, lenses also. There is a series of lenses, master prime, ultra prime, CP series, compact prime. I'm talking about the ARRI flex. Then there's a Cooke optics. You need to know about, yesterday I was talking to some other cinematography student. They will ask the abbreviations. They might ask you odd one out. So some technical basic knowledge of 10 important camera companies which manufactures the cinema lenses. They might ask you odd one out. So one of the company who do not manufacture the cinema lenses, that would be out. Say for example, Tamron. Tamron don't make the cinema lenses. So if there is a Cooke Optics, Carl Zeiss, and say for example, one more company, Canon, and then there's a Tamron. So if you are being asked, pick odd one out. So odd one will be Tamron. Why? Because rest of the three companies manufacture the cinema lenses. Tamron only manufacture the still photography lenses. So sometimes some tricky question can be asked. So be ready for it. As simple as that. Okay, guys. So we'll move a little further. Yeah.
Sir, can I ask a question? So what is a lens extender, sir? What it is used for?
Lens extenders are for micro photography. If you are shooting something very close up, then you need to use the extender so that you can shoot the close up. Suppose you want to shoot the close up of my eyes. How you are going to shoot up? So these are the lenses which will give you those kind of focal lengths which are required to shoot the narrow, very close up areas. Telephoto lens will not be able to do it. So these are lenses which can shoot the extreme close up of some part of your body, which could be nail, which could be teeth, ear, etc.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, now that everything is digital, mostly are shot in digital cameras, we see color blocks in dark scenes. When a scene is dark, we see purple color blocks or red color blocks in the darker part of the scene. So it's kind of I don't know what it's called. It looks like a noise, but I don't know what it is called.
It is noise. It is a noise. Basically, that is the difference between one camera versus another camera. The detail in the shadow area, we like to call it as a detail in the shadow area, should be very, very clear. There should not be a color tinge. That is a requirement of a good camera. Not all the cameras are able to do it. That's why ARRI, ARRI Flex has a brand called Alexa, which is about the cinema camera they manufacture. So ARRI is still ruling the roost, and it is considered one of the best cameras in the world. So ARRI is still the topmost, but it does not mean that you cannot shoot with a Canon. And I've seen a very good film shot with a Canon large format camera. It was a Marathi film done recently, which got a national award for the best actress also in the Goa IFFI Film Festival. I am just not able to forget the name of the film. So doesn't mean the other cameras are not able to do it. Depend upon you as a cinematographer. If you are a good cinematographer, you will be able to capture a good image, and you will take care of how much detail is required in the shadow area, how much it need to be filled up. So it depends upon mainly the cinematographer. But yes, some cameras are not able to handle. We call it as a that range of highlight versus shadow, and to large extent, red camera is not considered as a very good when it comes to outdoor, because there is a too much of exposure difference. But yes, Alexa can handle it. Canon's large format camera, which are being introduced, can handle it. So depend upon the person to person. Yeah.
So it also happens in very good series also, or very large production films also. We see like oval shapes of colors, different colors going around.
That we call it as there is a particular term for that. That is a property of the lens called bokeh. Bokeh would give various shapes in a out of focus area. Whether it's an oval, whether it's a circle, whether it's what kind of. So lenses today have reached, earlier it was a chromatic aberration, what kind of defect lenses has, whatever the aberration it has, what are the other problem lenses used to have, they are being solved. Now what? So they talk about the bokeh. Bokeh is a very special kind of a characteristic of a lens, which you cannot technically measure it, but you can feel it, what kind of softness of the skin and out of focus area you will get it. So you need to read a little bit about the bokeh and then you will understand. It's a part of the cinematography, so I don't want to discuss with you. So that's one of the properties of today, which many companies.
Yes, sir, we get oval shape bokeh or round shape or hexagonal bokeh depending on the lens.
Correct.
Lens
Correct. Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So all these things are being decided. Technical things are being decided. I will not go into the history because it will not be of use to you. I am talking from the point of view of examination. If you need to write in examination, what exactly you are supposed to write. So all that discussion which I am doing it, you keep making small notes and then you need to write. I have told you the question and I'm giving the answer. So in the pre-production part, a very important thing is the location recce. We call it as a recce. So recce is nothing but going to see the location. You go along with the director as a cinematographer, and then director and cinematographer would decide together if they like the visual of the image. If the director says this fort is good, I wanted to shoot here, then the cinematographer will tell, I will have these many problems. Then these problems will be solved. So he would say, yes, we can solve it. So they go ahead and lock the locations. So that's how you lock the locations. On the set also, how many days of the set would be required during the time of set preparation. It's very important that the art director consult the cinematographer, which wall will not be there, which area will be open. So all those discussion happens and then you create the sets. And once all these things are being done, your crew is being decided, technicians are being decided. Now come the scheduling. Okay. When exactly, how many scenes would be shot at what time? So scheduling of a film is a very, very important thing. There are software which help you to schedule the thing. What software actually do? Software don't do anything. It will help your life simple. Suppose 3 characters are there in a scene number 21, 24 and 26. So you say search and press the button and you see the character, that particular character who is on how many scenes. Accordingly, you plan the shoot so that you will reduce the wastage of time and energy, which is a very, very important thing in a filmmaking. If your scheduling is not done properly, you are gone for haywire. Everything would go messy. So scheduling, people who are experienced people in the scheduling, assistant director who are experienced. Remember, in the filmmaking, fools are not required. Novices are not required. Novices would observe. And if they are intelligent, they can contribute. Novice doesn't mean go to the hell. No. Novice can be an intelligent person. If he has an intelligence, he can still contribute. But experienced people are required so that they know how it needs to be done. So those who are novice today would become experienced, but those who are duffer, they will remain duffer in their life. So intelligent novices are employed as an intern, not the duffer novices, remember. So if you're intelligent, you would be employed, you will not be paid, you will get the experience, and then once you have experience, you will start getting paid. So these are the people who plan the schedule, because scheduling is a very, very important thing in the filmmaking, so that you can give the dates, you can seek the date of the rest of the actors, whether they are secondary actors, whether they are crowd, so that you will not waste the producer's money. That's a very, very important thing. So scheduling is being done. and then comes your shoot. Now on the shoot, there's so many things happens over there in terms of the locations, for example. Then these people come into the play called production manager, online producers, and location managers. So suppose you're shooting in a Rajasthan on a particular location. So you need certain actor from that location. He will source out that. You need certain kind of food. He will source out that. From where the food will come, where you would stay. All those kind of things would be taken care by the local production manager who understand the location, who will organize the car, vehicle, etc., etc. So all these departments in those videos are being discussed, so that you could read those, you could watch that video and make your small notes from the preparation point of view. Okay. So once the shoot is done, at the time of shoot, there is something called backup. It's very, very important. You shot something on the digital. Digital has a biggest problem is that anything can go haywire. Anything can be corrupt. Some footage can get corrupt. So what you do is, there is a technical data manager who do the backup of the footage and keep checking there is nothing wrong. Suppose that today we shot for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So his job at the end of the day would check the 40 minutes and would make sure that everything is fine, so that you don't need to reshoot anything tomorrow. Okay. So data manager is there. Then there are some other people also there. Sometime on the set, you also have an editor. So whatever is shot today, he would edit in the night for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And next day morning, he will show the edited version of his film for 2 minutes or 3 minutes to the director. So if something is wrong, director can tell, okay, we will do those shots because it is not working, or something is missing. So whatever is missing would be done next day immediately. This is one of the advantage. This is one of the advantage over the film, that you could see it instantaneously next day. Instantaneously in the sense, you can see, rewind the shot and watch it on a 4K resolution camera. Earlier on a film, it was not feasible. So they might ask these kind of differences. What is the differences which were there at the shooting on 35 negative and shooting now on digital? And you can't say, "Arey, hum to cinematography ke student nahi, humse kyun pooch rahe ho?" No. You are supposed to know all this, what I'm talking about. That's why I'm discussing it with you. Otherwise, I would be discussing with cinematography students. So difference between shooting on 35mm versus digital. Advantages versus disadvantages of shooting on digital format versus film. So this is an advantage. The next day, editor would edit it and he will show you the rough cut. And if you like it, you go ahead. Something is missing, you reshoot it. Something is not working, expression, some performance or whatever, you could redo it next day. Had it been a film will go for processing, will get it printed. After 15 days, you will come to know, oh, this is being missing. Oh, this we messed up. Now you need to redo it again. So it's too much of a painful process. Now that painful process is being deleted or minimized or cut down. So that's one of the advantages of this medium. Okay. Anybody else has a question? So we have finished more or less the basic idea of the production, what goes into the production in terms of scheduling. Scheduling is every department has a schedule. Scheduling are the people who are very, very important people. Then there is something called continuity. There's one more person called continuity girl. Girl could be a boy also. The person would write down the number of shot number, sequence, okay take, NG take, how many takes were done, is a day or night, who are the lead actor, actresses. So later on, this person sits in the editing room, work with the editor and figure it out, which is okay take, so that editor don't know. Editor would ask which is okay take. Though you can watch all the 10 takes, but if the continuity girl will tell you take number 5 is okay, so you don't watch everything. Take number 5 we will watch. If he finds take number 5 is good enough, he will say fine, thank you, we will move to something else. If he finds there is a problem, he might have to look into the all 10 takes, irrespective of the fact that they are not okay take. So continuity sheet is very, very important. Earlier we used to write the camera continuity also, which was helpful for the cinematographer. If he has to recreate again after 10 days or 20 days, he may not remember the lighting. Okay, normally they do, but he may not remember. So assistant cameraman will write a continuity of the various light, exposure level, from where the light was coming, day or night, exposure, film stock, All those details would be written in a camera continuity. But it will come handy only for the cinematographer, not for the editor or the director. It is only for the cinematography purpose. So camera report is there, and then you have a continuity report. Continuity report has to do something with the editor in editing room, and camera department has to do with the laboratory, which was a chemical processing in those days. It used to come very handy sometime when cameraman is confused, he could refer to the continuity sheet and he will figure it out. Okay. So camera continuity and editing continuity and costume continuity, all these continuity things except the camera would be written in a continuity sheet, in which costume of the actor, what they are wearing, action, dialogues also, sometimes they write the dialogue in that continuity sheet. So they might ask you, what are the details? Please note down carefully. What are the details written in the continuity sheet at the time of shoot? This is a question. They might ask you, though it has, don't be under the impression it is about the editor's job. No. Continuity sheet is a department of direction. Director get benefited, editor get benefited, but director has to do it. If you don't write the continuity sheet, you're gone. Editor would refuse to edit the film if you don't have a continuity sheet of the entire film. And it is not a one page. It is a 100 page, 200 page, not 100 even, I would say 500 pages sometimes, 600, 1000 pages. So continuity sheet is the director's department, so that it need to be written properly, meticulously, and then the continuity sheet comes handy in the editing department for editor. And this person who has written the continuity would sit in the editing, and that is a person who learn maximum. If you ask me, in the direction department, who learns maximum is the person who write the continuity sheet, not the chief assistant director or second assistant director of us. No, because is the person who will sit in the editing room along with the editor, along with the chief assistant, of course, and he would understand what are the mistakes done in the time of shoot. That is why you are learning over there. That's why you are an assistant. So continuity girl, if you ever get a job of doing a continuity, which is a clapper boy's job also, clapper boy will, continuity person will write the shot number, take number, scene number, all those things. Do accept it, because he is the person who will learn maximum. Other people may not be. They may not be there in the post-production. Okay. So continuity is one thing. So it's 7 o'clock. If somebody has a quickly question, it's fine. We'll break for 10 minutes and we'll be back by 7:10.
So can I ask you a question?
Quick.
Yeah, sir, is storyboarding necessary or is an optional during the pre-production?
आपका आवाज जो है रिवर्बरेट होता है. आप जहां बैठते हैं क्लास के लिए, थोड़ा ऐसी जगह बैठा करें जहां पर आवाज
Yeah, hello.
बोलिए.
Yeah, can you hear, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, is storyboard necessary or is an optional during pre-production?
Some people prefer to have a storyboard, some people don't. It's an optional thing. It's an optional thing. But for animation film, it is a must. Without that, you can't make a film. But for fiction, you can avoid the storyboarding also, as long as you are clear about the shot taking in your head. It's an optional thing. Next question. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir. So just that lesson asked the question. What is what are storyboards, sir?
Storyboard is basically image size, magnification, what exactly, who will be sitting where and all that. That is called storyboard. It is a drawing, a rough drawing of the shot in terms of image size, in terms of action, in terms of who is looking where, how many people are there. That's it. In
So
brief,
it is only used for the animation films, or
not
for
for
the
animation, it is required for fiction also. Various art director works on the storyboard. Without that, they don't work. Hollywood people, they always prefer to have a storyboard. India, you can manage without that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, gentlemen. So break for 10 minutes. We are pausing the recording and we will.
सर आप म्यूट पर है.
So we are back, and if you have a question, you can ask it. Else we'll proceed further. So in between, I keep telling you small questions, so do write them down. particularly about this continuity business. As also I have told you, there is a book called 5 C's of Cinematography, which is basically not only for cinematography, it is meant for every Tom, Dick and Harry, whosoever want to whatsoever be in the film making. I'm not talking about the distributors and executive producers, and I'm talking filmmaker, cameraman, editors, sound recordist, directors, screenplay writers, costume designer, makeup man, even makeup man, I would say. This is an important name which I did not discuss with you people. Makeup man is the most important man for an actor and actress. Why? When a star is standing, you don't look at his shoes. You look at his face. Face is something which is scanned all the time. When you're watching a film, you're watching a face first. And then overall, you're also looking. But you are scanning the face all the time. So the makeup has to be proper. If it is not done properly, it will be caught. Caught in the sense, in a close-up, you can see the pimples and other things and all that. So makeup is a very, very important thing for a film star, particularly. And for, I would say for everyone, not only the stars, I would pay equal attention to the makeup man, particularly when it is a prosthetics. What is prosthetic? If say for example, if I'm 55-year-old, I want to look like 75. So I have to be, makeup need to be done. If I'm 40-year-old and I want to look like 80 years, I need to have the makeup. There's a film called Mozart Amadeus by Milos Forman. There's a character called Salieri. Salieri is the person who's a rival of the Mozart, who got the best foreign language Oscar in that particular film for a supporting actor. It directed by Milos Forman. So the film starts when the Salieri is old, and how he think about the days when he was jealous of the Mozart music and thing like that. So it's a very interesting film in terms of the not only just the makeup of that character, but the overall film. It took me so many years to understand that the film is not about the Mozart. The film is about the Salieri, who was his rival. And that's why he got the best supporting actor. Not the Mozart, the lead character of the film, got the best foreign language Oscar. So sometime you pick up a subject around which you build up a film. Say for example, if you build up a film about Indian national movement, you may choose Gandhi, you may choose Jawaharlal, you may choose Sardar Patel, you may choose someone else. And then you do a film about the whole national movement. So you could choose a character which sometimes is not about him, but it is about his rival. He and his rival, you know. So anyway, so makeup is a very, very important thing for an actor and also for a cinematographer and also for a director, because if it is not done properly, it will be caught in the cinema and magnified 200 times, 300 times, 500 times, depending upon the how big throw of an image is. So that's one thing. So makeup plays a lot of important part. So we were talking about once the shoot is done, now what? Shoot is over. My shooting is over. Now what need to be done? Then first person who comes into a play is an editor, despite the fact he might have edited earlier. Sometimes you have the editor on the set, sometimes you don't. So there are some directors who say, no, we don't need an editor. But today, an intelligent director would always keep an editor on the set and let him edit in the night. Let me see the footage in the morning. Gone are the days when film will be processed, the merit print would be made later on, but the rushes would come and rushes would go to the editor, he would do on a steam bag and blah, 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 blah. No, that is not required. Let me give you a little bit about the history of editing. Little history, not the montage and all that shit, but real process. So that you can understand the current process. It will be helpful for you to understand that. Earlier, the negative is shot, processed in the laboratory, and on the one light number, without the color correction, the print would be made. We call it as a rushes. So rushes are the positive print which is made in the laboratory on the positive stock without color correction. Okay. Those rushes are being made only of the selected shot, which we call it as a OK shots. Not all the shots. If I have taken a 20 takes, 20 take will not be printed. Only okay takes, take number 5. If I'm not sure, take number 7 is also good. 5 and 7 will be printed and that's it. Those instructions would be given to the laboratory and lab will print only the okay takes. And positive stock, where you could see the way you are looking at me, those shots put together are called rushes. They will be screened inside the auditorium for the cinematographer, just for the reference sake, so that he can feel it on a large scale. If some shot is out of focus, some nonsense has happened because of the camera, or some shit has happened because of the camera. Camera is able to create any shit. Remember, so I remember one of the DP I worked with, he said, I hired a camera from UP government, blah, blah, blah. And the camera has a funny thing. Instead of blocking the image, when the pull down is happening of the exposed thing, it was doing the opposite. So what was happening? When the pull down, there's a mechanism inside the camera when the exposed picture would be pulled down. Just a moment. सर मैं थोड़ा सा ऑनलाइन क्लास में हूं, मैं आपको जो है 8 बजे बाद कॉल करूं, ठीक है सर? So what I need to say is that when the pull down of the exposed picture negative is happening, shutter should be closed. Okay, so what was happening is the shutter is open when the pull down is happening, so everything get re-exposed again. So when they saw the footage later on, after processing, they were wondering how the hell it happened. So camera can create any problem. Despite the best of the cinematographer shooting it, it is not in your control. So despite the fact you carry out the camera test, etc., but you still need to watch the rushes. So rushes will be seen. It will be sent to the editing lab. Editing lab, the assistant editor would cut the okay takes, put all okay takes, maybe shot number scene number 5 has a shot number 11 which has a 2 okay takes. We will put both the okay takes in the linear fashion. Then sound which was recorded on a magnetic tape, which you call it as a Nagra. From there, it will be transferred on the optical track and the sound would also be there. So he would do the sync of the dialogue with the visual. How it is done? With the clap sound. So purpose of a clap sound, one of the most important purpose of the clap sound, this can be a question, write down. What are the important things while you are doing a clap on the set? When you're doing a clapping, as a clapper boy, what are the important things you will take care of it? It is a question which can be asked in the FTI entrance exam, and it is to do with the direction department. There are 7 important things which you need to remember. I will talk about later on. So clapping, one of the most important thing of the clapping is to sync the dialogue with the visual in the editing. One only. Okay, one of the most important purpose. So the editor would sync the sound of the visual and audio. And how they would sync it? So in the visual, you see this clap coming close, 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 and then with it. So when they are close, 10, 5, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 2, 1, 0. There's the 0. When both the hands of the clap are together, there is a sound called tuck. The tuck sound is matched with the clap. And that's how the editor would sync the dialogue of the characters. So once the syncing is being done, now he would start watching all these shots which are in sync. And then out of 2 shots of one particular camera angle, he would select which are the final okay takes. This is the take which I will use for editing. Rest of the takes, they will delete. Okay. Now you have only the okay takes which are going to be used in the editing. And he start editing. Okay. And then he will edit the thing and he will show it to the assistant director or a director. Maybe sometime director would sit along with the editor, sometimes he doesn't. Shyam Benegal never sits. But his editor is always there on the set, so he knows what is Shyamji has shot it. So editor knows a lot of things and he will edit it, and once the editing is being done, he will call Shyam Benegal and show you this is the scene number 5 or scene number 6 and I have edited. If Shyam Benegal has some suggestion, he would suggest it. Otherwise, most of the time it is okay. If he has some suggestion, he would make it. Okay. So this is called in earlier times. I'm talking about in earlier time when there was a 35 mm negative. Now what happens now? Okay, later on when the digital technology came, means Avid came. Avid was a software, it is still a software, where you will edit. It was still a 35 negative time, but you will not make the rushes. You will not make the rushes. So what you would do, 35 mm negative would go into the laboratory, it will process. It will go to a department called telecine department. Telecine department would transfer the negative, whatever it is, 100 feet, 200 feet, 500 feet. It's a 400 feet can, 4 can cames put together, and then they will transfer and a single light number, which means no color correction is required the way it was done at the time of rushes. So with a single light number, they will transfer all the picture negative on the beta or digibeta tape. Along with, there is something called edge number. Edge number is a number which define a particular frame in the negative. So all the edge number would also be transferred simultaneously onto a format of file format, and this file format of edge number would be given into a pen drive or CD or DVD to the along with the beta tape to the person who will take this beta tape and edge number to the editor. Editor will transfer the beta or digibeta tape onto the hard disk, convert this footage into a particular file like MOV file or some other file you are familiar with, and now he has the edge number into the floppy, which will also transfer into the computer, and he has a footage which is already transferred from the beta or digibeta tape into the hard disk of the computer. So the computer of a hard disk has a footage marked with the edge number. It is already there. Now something which is missing is sound. So sound would be transferred on the, it used to be normally recorded on the DAT, digital audio tape, and it will be transferred on the audio file, and audio file will be given to the editor, which will be transferred into the computer. So in computer, first thing is the same thing, but it was done in the time of physical negative, sync sound. So here it is very much easier. Same process of tuck. You put the track of the sound and the visual, which is in the audio form, in the digital format. So audio and visual are in the digital format. You cut the OK takes and keep the OK takes, and out of the OK take, you just remove the unnecessary double or triple OK takes, and you have the proper sound which is in sync with the video. This is clear to everyone? Now the editors start editing. So everything is being edited. Now this particular file, the particular timeline, I would say seal number 6, they call it as a reel. Reel is normally of 10 minutes, not more than that. It could be 8, it could be 7. Why 10 minutes? This is a question. Reel is basically a positive stock which will be required to make a reel, and positive stock used to be 2000 feet, and hence it was a 10-minute duration, sorry, 1000 feet, and hence it was it cannot be more than 10 minutes normally. So that was one of the, I'm not sure whether it was 1000 or 2000. I need to refer it because there's so many years. I will figure it out and will let you know. And that's,
sir,
yeah.
Yes, sir. It is a 400 and 1000 feet, sir.
400 was the negative. I am talking about the positive. I'm talking about the positive.
Okay.
You're talking about the negative. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The
Okay.
positive stock used to be 1000 feet normally, and 400 feet means 4 minutes. Yeah, it is 1000 feet. So 400 feet is normally equal to 4 minutes. So 400, 400 and 200. So yes, it was 1000 feet. Sure, not 2000, but 1000 feet. So 1000 feet means not more than 10 minutes. And hence the real duration was always less than 10 minutes. So they will make 8 minute, 9 minute, whatever times come out to be scene number 3, 4, and 5 could be 8.5 or 9, whatever it is, but not more than 10. So they will divide the entire film into reel 1, 2, 3, 4. It could be 16, 17, 18, 19. So not necessarily one reel means 10 minutes. It could be 8.5, it could be 9, 9.5, whatever it is, but not more than 10. Okay. So he would divide the film into the reels, and this time now in a digital world, you have a rough video where the edge number is running over there, which is in lock with the file which you got from the telecine department, a particular file which will be transferred into the computer, which get locked with the negative automatically because the edge number is there and edge number is also there in this file, and that this edge number is getting locked. Now, what is this edge number locking business help? Later on, when EDL will come out, EDL means edit decision list. Because at the end of the day, negative need to be cut because the film was shot on the negative. So the EDL would be prepared later on for the negative cutter who would cut the negative after looking at the EDL list. So EDL list is helpful for the negative cutter. And it is also helpful for the special effect guy if you need to do some dissolve, etc., etc. So now you have a video over there in the computer, you have an audio there in the computer, which is in a sync, which is edited. Say for example, reel number 5, reel number 6, reel number 7. All these reels now in a video format, which is could be beta, digibeta, or maybe some other file format, would be given to the sound post-production. Try to understand all this. 50% of it will go above your head because you have to work hard, read, watch videos. Only then you will understand. I am speaking from experience of 12 years and 3 years of my education. That's why I don't need to look at something and I can talk. But for you, 50% will go over your head because you have no experience at all. So try to understand, watch the videos later on the YouTube, figure it out. Only then you will be able to understand, otherwise not. So now editing is done. Editor will send these files into either the videotape, transferred videotape, in which the sound and visual is in sync in an edited format, not in a rough format. Or it could be a MOV file, it could be MPEG-4 file. It will be goes to the sound recording department. Sound recording department would look into it, a sound designer we call it, and then he would do the dubbing. Dubbing, why sometimes dubbing is required even if it is a pilot track record? Because there may be fumble, the sound may not be clear, they wanted to have a much more better shot, so dubbing is required. If it is not a pilot recording, the whole film need to be dubbed. So dubbing would happen in the sound recording studio. Music would be composed by the music composer of those sequences where a background music is required. Some effect sound would be done, we call it as a Foley, in which keeping of this pen, mobile hitting, or some fan sound or some other effect sounds. If I'm close to the seashore sound would come, sea sound would come, opening of the door, etc., etc. So all these kind of, we call it as a trackling, where all these things would happen. Effect sound would be added by the sound designer. Sound would be dubbed if it is required of the dialogue. Music track would be put into a place, and then he would do the balancing of various sound levels. And then at the end of the day, he would come out with a mixed soundtrack. It has an all mixed soundtrack. Okay. Now this mixed soundtrack would be transferred on the DAT tape, digital audio tape, and it would be going to the into a laboratory. But before it goes to the lab, it is the DAT which need to be converted into an optical soundtrack. Optical soundtrack means 35 mm negative sound stock would be exposed inside a studio which has a optical soundtrack conversion, and this would be done in a dark, the way camera shoots the image in a dark. Similarly, from the DAT, all that optical mixed track would be transferred onto the 35 mm negative, sound negative, and this sound negative would be again will be used for a positive, so it is of 1,000 feet. exposed sound, unexposed sound negative would be given to the studio. Studio will make it sound transfer. We call it as a sound transfer. Optical sound transfer is the exact name, which means from the DAT, digital audio tape, you will transfer into the 35 mm negative, sound negative, which is of a high contrast negative. If you process it, whether it's a black or whether it is transparent. The picture negative will have a in-between mid-gray. But this sound stock is a sound stock which is a high contrast. In between, gray tones are missing. Okay, this is the difference between the sound negative, which is black and white negative I'm talking about, which is used for the sound transfer, and the black and white negative, which is used for the shooting purpose. Both are different. So here the sound is being transferred into the dark. The sound negative will go to the laboratory, it will be processed, and a sound positive would be ready. Okay, there the picture negative have gone over there. So sound negative is ready here, and you have a picture negative which is being cut by the negative cutter. After looking at the EDL list, all the negative is being aligned together, put together. It's a complicated process. I don't want to waste your time, but if you want to read, go to the Google. Each and every single word has a video. Job of a negative cutter inside the laboratory. You zoom in, you press this, you will find 2-3 videos. Okay, so it's a very, very meticulous job, done very painstakingly. Physically need to be cut the negative, pressed it, the liquid need to be put, joined together, and that's it. Very, very painstaking process of 2000 cut, 4000 cut, 5000 cut, depend upon how many cuts you have in your film. So sound negative would be joined together into the laboratory, and then this, you have a sound negative this side, you have a sound positive picture negative of this side, and together it will be merged into something called married print. So married print is a print of a positive stock on which a sound is being there and a picture negative is being converted into a positive. So you look at the married print, you could see the image of a hero, heroine, and a soundtrack on the left side or right side, depending upon how you're looking at it. So married print is something on which sound as well as picture are in sync together. Sound is a final mixed track, whether it's a music, whether it is a background music, dialogue, effect, etc., put together, and the picture over there. So married print is a print which will be projected into the cinema hall, where you could hear the sound as well as the visual. Okay, rushes are also positive stock picture, but it do not have a sound. It cannot be projected on the cinema hall. It is projected inside the auditorium, which is into the lab, where the cinematographer and director would figure it out, the color correction, some mistake or something else, overall feel of the film, but it is not a color corrected thing. Married print is color corrected. So once, before the color correction happens, before the married printing is made, cinematographer goes to the laboratory, he would look into the negative, and there's a guy called colorist. Colorist would look at the negative, figure it out, RGB corrections and all that, write it down, and then they will do the list, and then that list would be given to the laboratory further inside the lab, and they will do the color correction while the film is getting printed. So when the film is getting printed, filter would change as per the numbers given by the colorist, and then the married print is being made. Okay, so there is something called liquid grade printing, where all these small speck, which could be there because of the negative being rubbed, it was physically rubbed, all these small plastic grains could settle on the negative and could create a small specks. To avoid that, there was a liquid grade printing, and because of which it is just a mechanism to avoid it. Earlier it was not there, but later on it was introduced, depend upon if you want to have it or not, and then the married print would be bring out, and then that is a print which will go to the cinema hall for the projection. Okay, so this is in brief about the previous technology. Now what happens, because there is a digital, when the AVID came, so things would become simpler. This rush is gone out, this physical cutting of the negative cutting went out. Earlier it was there, But today, when there is a digital, when there is a digital image, picture negative is not there. So all these married print business is over. You don't have negative cutters because there is no negative. So everything is digital. So there is something called DCP. So today, instead of a married print, is equal to DCP. DCP is digital cinema projection, which is a very, very high resolution cassette, which is used into the cinema hall to project the film. Now, DCP has a very, very elaborate process where the images would be put together, color correction would happen. There's something called DI. DI is a digital intermediate, which earlier used to be called a color correction inside the laboratory. So DI is being done after the edit is being done, after the special effects are done, all sound work is done. Cinematographer goes to a place where all these things are done in a hard disk, in a very, very high resolution images, where the color correction is done, masking is done. You can do a lot of things in a DI. DI could be done in a 5 lakh, DI could be done in a 25 lakhs. Depend upon how complicated machine you are using it. Okay. But does not mean 5 lakh DI would be useless. 25 lakh DI would be much more beneficial. No. Depend upon the complexity of the DI of the image you have to do. If the image need the basic color correction, it's fine. You can do it in a 5 lakh. If the image need the more elaborate color correction, then you can do it on a 25 lakh size. So DI is being done, and then you goes to the DCP. DCP would convert everything into a digital cassette, which is a very, very strong, heavy, hard disk, which can be reused. DCP could be coded over there that if I want this particular film to be shown only 20 times, only 20 times would be shown through the DCP, and then it is blocked. It can be reused. So DCP is today has replaced the married prints. Is it clear to everybody? Okay. Even if you have understood the 50%, it's more than enough. Go to YouTube, figure it out. What is DCP? How it is used? What is a married print? You need to spend time and energy on YouTube. There are wonderful videos. Don't ask me which video to watch. No, I'm not going to tell you. I can give you a list of 10, 20 channels, which will talk about a lot of aesthetics of filmmaking and other things. But you have to take a pain, figure it out. If I can find it out, you can also find it. Okay, it's no secret over there. You might have to spend 5 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours to figure out various channels, and you can easily do it. So this is in brief about the digital process. Now today the projection system is changed. Earlier there was an arc, then there is a other mechanism came over there. There was a rod, carbon rod, then the arc came over there, then there's another system came. So improvisation keep happening. Today there is a digital projection, which is a very, very heavy machine. As heavy as, I would say, 100 kilogram, 200 kilogram. I never thought of. There's a company called Christie Barco. There are two major companies which manufacture these projection machine. Barco is one and Christie is one. These are the two major companies. There may be small other companies, but these are two companies which manufacture the projector, and they can project into 2K resolution, 4K resolution. It's a very, very heavy machines which need to be installed like a projector. But it can be moved also if it is required to show a film inside into open area. I have seen one film in a French embassy where the projector was DCP projector of Christie. So they got it transported over. It can be transported, but it's a very heavy machine, 100 kg, 200 kg, maybe more than that. So DCP projectors are different. Traditional projectors are obsolete. There's a 2K projection, there's a 4K projection. People are planning the 6K and 8K also, but it's endless. Ks are endless. Earlier used to be 2K, now it's a 4K. India, 4K projectors, not all the projectors are 4K. Many of the projection inside the cinema hall is only 2K. Some cinema hall are equipped with 4K projection system also. So depend upon the requirement of your film. You need to make two different kind of DCPs, suitable for 2K, suitable for 4K, etc., etc. So I'm not getting into the much more detail about those projection things. So this is in brief the pre-production, production, and post-production. Post-production, after the film is ready, there is something called marketing and distribution of the film, which I'm not going to touch now. I would discuss at some other point because it's a vast topic which I can't sum up in a 10 minutes or 20 minutes. But a question can be formulated on that also. So today's question was those who came late. I started with the 10 people. Maybe tomorrow they will look into the video. Maybe, may not be. So the question is, it could be just describe in brief the various stages of the pre-production. Describe in brief the various stages of the production. Describe a short note about post-production. Describe in brief pre-production, post-production and post-production of a filmmaking. These are the three different questions which can be formulated. It looks very simple, but the moment you start writing answer, the examiner will come to know, are you a fool or you are an intelligent person? They would check two things, your knowledge and wisdom. Both are different things. If you describe with your knowledge, even that is enough. But if you could write something which reflects your wisdom, it means you have impressed the examiner. It means he will carry that impression in the further questions when he would be looking into it. So it is something called wisdom, which will get into the FTI written exam. Knowledge, 80%, 20% is wisdom. This is in brief today. We are 7:42. Last 15 minutes are for question and answer. You can ask any stupidest question under the sun. I would answer it. Start. Raise your hand and then we'll go ahead. I can keep talking about so many things, but this is the difference between the people who have saved their 5,000 rupees and tomorrow they would watch this video. They cannot ask a question. Nobody would answer their any query. Here you could ask a question and I can answer the query. That is the difference, and that's why you paid 5,000 rupees more. Okay.
हेलो
हाँ जी बोलिए.
सर आप स्टोरीज लिखने में मतलब उसकी प्रैक्टिस करोगे?
हाँ जी.
जैसे कि क्वेश्चन पेपर्स में स्टोरीज लिखनी होती है, तो उसकी आप प्रैक्टिस कराओगे या फिर नहीं?
कराएंगे, बट उसकी प्रैक्टिस से कुछ ज्यादा फायदा नहीं होने वाला. कारण ये जो क्वेश्चन है प्रिडिक्टेबल क्वेश्चन है. वो जो क्वेश्चन आप जो पूछ रहे हैं स्टोरी का प्रैक्टिस, वो अनप्रेडिक्टेबल क्वेश्चन है. उसमें आपका इंटेलिजेंस काम आएगा और कुछ काम नहीं आने वाला. ये जो मैंने आज क्वेश्चन बोला है, इसमें प्री प्रिपरेशन वुड रिक्वायर, नॉट योर इंटेलिजेंस. There are two kind of question in FTI entrance exam, in which your intelligence would be evaluated, in which your information will be evaluated in a descriptive part. Are you getting my point? So I want to prepare you for a descriptive part where your information level would be evaluated. Intelligence level depend upon you have an intelligence or not. I am not going to give you intelligence. So if you so far you have been sleeping, nothing is going to happen in your life. So far you have been working on preparing for your intelligence level. It would be helpful. Intelligence level cannot be prepared in 6 months. Remember it. It is a continuous effort of last 20 years or 22 years. So though there would be 1 or 2 exercises, we will be following the pattern of those part also. But if you have an intelligence, it would be helpful. If you don't have intelligence, it will not be helpful. This is my personal answer. Don't feel offended, but this is a fact. So we would be doing those exercises also, but since the plan is 40 days, 80 hours, right? So I want to make sure that I have prepared certain questions, predictable questions, predictive question. I also want to talk about that, and we will also discuss about those things which are intelligence section, where if you have it, you would be able to prove it. If you don't have it, nothing can happen. So we will be doing some exercises of those also. Not by me, maybe by someone else I will invite here. I might just moderate. Next week, I will try to invite someone else so that you get introduced with other people who would be taking these classes in the future. I would not be taking all the classes in the future. Out of 40 days, I might just do the 10 days classes, 30 days classes, some other people will do. Okay. So next question, Vatsala Saxena.
Sir, I had a question which is not related to what you have discussed today, but if it's okay to ask, then I'll ask it.
Yeah, please ask.
Sir, what if we get this kind of question to write an essay on the mise-en-scene aspects of Richard Attenborough's?
We would discuss the mise-en-scene in one of the particular days. I am trying to figure it out because it's a very, very complex thing. It is like oxygen inside the atmosphere. Show
Yes,
me.
sir.
Can you show me? Can you show me where is oxygen?
No, sir.
But you know there is oxygen.
Yes, sir.
So it is as complicated as that. So I'm trying to figure it out. How can I show you that?
Okay, sir.
It's a very complicated, nonsensical question, which is called mise-en-scene. French people have created such kind of nonsense in their life, but it started with the theater and how it got extended to the cinema. And so it's a little complex. I'm trying to simplify this question for you people to understand, but
Yes, sir.
it's very difficult. It can be, but I'm trying to simplify. So
Sir,
there would be a discussion on the mise-en-scene.
Sir, somebody told me that we might be asked to comment on the mise-en-scene of a particular movie like Gandhi.
No.
movie is there.
It will not be asked about a particular film because many people have not seen that particular film. See, FTI give you a liberty of free. They don't say particular film. They might say choose a French film or an Italian film or a German film and discuss the mise-en-scene of that film.
Okay, sir, got it.
They will not corner you. Choose a French film. Even if they say French film, they are very kind to you. Why? Because French film have 100 films, 200 films, 500 films. Out of 500, you can choose any film. But there are many UP Bihar people here who don't know what is French film. They are still sleeping in Darbhanga and Motihari and thinking that they will qualify FTI. They can, provided they have seen certain films. If they are watching pornography in Bihar, they will never.
Okay,
No,
sir.
I know many of the people. They pretend they behave like a fool. Oh, I am from Bihar, I am from village. You are from village. You have a mobile phone. You watch all that bloody pornography in your night, but you are not interested in watching the cinema. So if you're not interested in watching the cinema, please don't come into the FTI. Go to Darbhanga, Motihari, do the farming. I keep saying it again and again. If you are not, in today's time, Bihar does not mean Bihar. UP does not mean UP. UP Bihar is Delhi, capital of India. There is a net. You are not watching it, so it's your problem. Solve it. Gone are the days when I was preparing for FTI and I had a privilege to go to the British Council Library in Delhi and American Center, though there was nothing over there. And UP Bihar people will know we don't have an American Center, we don't have a British Council. How we find it? Today, British Council, American Center are useless. Internet has everything. Only people who don't want to make efforts, who are sleeping, they will have an excuse. Okay? So they will not say particular film. Look into the question paper of previous year. There's always an open question. Like in acting, why I'm referring to the acting again and again? Because they will say, choose one of the film of following actors. So they have given you 6 actors. 3 Indian, 3 international. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Then they are saying, choose one of their film. Then there's again a freedom. 6 actor is a freedom. 1 film of any of the actor is again a freedom. And describe about the performance of his acting. So you can't say, oh, I am from Kerala. Kerala boys. Kerala boys has not seen French cinema. Fine. No problem. Have you seen the Malayalam cinema? Have you seen the Mammootty? If you have not seen the Mammootty, go to the hell. Simple. So you can't say I am from Kerala. I am from Darbhanga. I am from Motihari. Bullshit. Internet is there. You are sleeping. You are not able to watch it. You are not interested. Don't come. Simple. So they will give you a liberty. They will not corner you. If a person like me set up a paper, I would corner you. I would say choose any French film. Now you are stuck. You have to discuss a French film. I would make your life hell. If you have not seen the French cinema, it means you are not interested in FTI. So I will give you a liberty. I am still giving you a choice, but I have cornered your life. Only French film. No Kerala film, No Bengali film, no Uriya film, no Marathi film. Okay. So if I prepare for worst, prepare for people like me who would make your life hell. Hell means hell. I would say choose a German film. If you have not seen a German film, don't come to FTI. You should have seen a German film. You should have seen Italian. 3 countries in cinema are very, very important. France, Germany, Italy, and Hollywood. After that, India also. Because at the end of the day, you will make film in India. Okay? So they would give you a liberty. Depend upon how horrible a person is there to make your life hell. They would give you a choice of choose any French film. Discuss about the mise-en-scene of that film. So you still have a choice. You have 100 directors. You have a 5,000 film to choose from. But you are sleeping. You have done the BSc in engineering from some BTech, from some Timbuktu Institute of Falana Dimka. So is it not my problem? Is it my problem? You spend your 4 years of your life in studying the engineering. Who told you? Nobody. If you're coming to filmmaking, start watching film. Major 3 countries. Oscar winning films. Indian. I am a person who will say in front of your face. Try to understand that. So they can formulate anything. And you need to answer it. You can't say, oh, I don't know. I don't know. So please go and know. So they will give you a choices, but still you can choose anyone. Even if there is a question like, there was a question. I don't know whether you remember it or not. Choose, write, comment about a film historian, film theoretician. Not film critics. Film theoretician. So what do you mean by film theoretician? They're asking about Andre Bazin. If you have never heard of Andre Bazin, okay, some other guy, you never heard about anything, at least 4 choices you still have. 4 are the star people who are the film theoretician. One of them is Andre Bazin from France. Another is a Deleuze, which is too much of a headache for you to write about it. Then there are some other Hungarian person is there, then there's a British, then there's American. So 5 choices you still have, but you were sleeping. You have no clue about them. So fine, keep sleeping. There are people who are awake. They would come here. So there would be a choice for sure, but the choice would be very narrow. They will not tell you to a particular film. Particular film means you are stuck. How it is possible to see all the film in the world? But it is possible to see 5 Italian film. It is possible to see 5 Malayalam film. It is possible to see 5 Marathi film. It is possible to see 5 German films. So this is my answer. Next, Tushar. Hope I answered your question, Vatsala.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, wake up, forget about your engineering, get into cinema.
Yes, sir, trying.
You have to. Okay, Tushar.
सर अभी आपने एक बुके शॉट्स करके मेंशन किया था, उसकी स्पेलिंग आप बता सकते हैं?
हाँ, बड़ा अजीब सा शब्द है, वो मुझे थोड़ा ढूंढना पड़ेगा. 1 मिनट का टाइम दे दो. Bokeh. There is a Wikipedia page also about that. Let me. It's called Bokeh. Bouquet. Bokeh. There's a Wikipedia page also. There are some videos also. You will be able to easily find it out.
Got it, sir.
Okay. Next. Hanji, lesson.
Sir, can you please explain the importance of detailing in a film, sir? What are so minute details and like we saw in the Cinema Paradiso, we have observed so many details.
Correct.
So can you say the importance of that?
Detailing is something which will exist in every scene. But most important thing is what is most important. There's always something which is very, very important. Say, for example, tomorrow, if you have a 5 hours only, if you have a 10 friends whom you have to meet, okay, who are the 5 people you would choose or invite and give them 1 hour each? It is as simple as that. So what is the most important thing? Then secondary, then third, then fourth. But what is cinema? You need to understand the difference. What is cinema? Which I had discussed with you people, I think, in context with the various aspects. So anything which is a small, whether it's a poster of that particular film called Gone with the Wind, displayed into some dilapidated area which is demolished, and when this lady is walking along with the son, it's a small thing where the hint was given in the beginning, because his father looked like a Clark Gable, and now this father has died and his mother is crying because she comes to know for sure that the father is no more. So father is important, and so is important for the son. And in the beginning also he said that when she's beating him, that my father will not come, and he keep his picture of the father and mother together along with the negative. So the parents are as important. It's a very simple shot which I understood in the 6th or 7th viewing of that film. Why that boy keep that photograph along with the reel into a can? Because he is attached to that. He is attached to the memory of his father. He wants to meet father one day, and he knows his father has died. That's what information he has received. And all these information would come through the projectionist basically, or maybe through the priest or some other people who are in touch with it. So whatever the small thing, as I just said, a picture of his parents married, when they were married together, that's the only thing which he has of his father's image. So he keep that thing along with the these small clippings inside the can, very carefully, because very precious to him, as precious as cinema clippings, cuttings. So there are so many small things you have to notice it. It takes years to understand that, what to notice, what not to notice, and it needs a practice. You have to watch the film again and again, read about them. I told you IMDb is the place from where you can go to the external links and read about them. That's how you develop your knowledge. And there would be many things which will not be mentioned anywhere in any of the external reviews also. And that is where you as an individual, you as a very specific person with a certain kind of intelligence or certain kind of sensitivity, which you have developed over the years, would be able to catch, which all these so-called big critics are not able to do. Big critics doesn't mean they will understand each and everything of the film. No. I would say 50% of the time they don't understand. You as a newcomer, you may be more intelligent than those people. It's all about intelligence. Again and again I'm saying one thing. Intelligence and a sensitivity you have to develop over the years. A sensitivity to watch the film, to be able to capture those small things. It's like a magnet. Magnet will pick up anything which is iron. Magnet has this property. So you have to increase your magnetic power so that you should be able to capture this iron, which I will call it as a cinematic elements in the film, which take years. You started now, slowly, your magnetizing power to capture these small things will increase. It is a long process of years, not of 2 months, 5 months, and 1 year. Even today, when I watch a film again, I see so many things which I did not watch last time. That's why watching a film after 2 years is very important. 2 years is a long phase. I would say 1 year. If not 1 year, at least 2 years. So there are many films which I have seen 5 times, 7 times, 8 times, 10 times. And sometimes people wonder why I am watching it 10 times. Am I a fool? Yes, I am a fool. I was not able to see certain thing which I was able to see now because I am watching the same film with a different perspective. I saw a film called Dirty Pictures after, say, for example, 15 years or 12 years, I don't know. And I did not notice all those things which this lady was describing about the performance of an actress. I did not notice that. Because she was talking about the performance point of view for acting students. For acting student, the performance of an actor you need to describe. So she picked up the Dirty Picture of Vidya Balan. And she got an Best Actress award for that film also. It's an adult film. But there is something to discuss, something to talk about. So it will take years, not a 1 day, 2 day job. So, but it is a continuous process. It's like a breathing. You don't stop breathing when you are sleeping. Do you? No. When you're eating, oh, today I'm having a breakfast, I will not breathe. No. You will breathe all the time. So it's a 24 into 7 into 12, etc., etc. This process is that. If you are into that continuous manner, then only it will happen. And you have to be very, very conscious. When you're watching a film, you should not be expecting a call from your friend. No. Switch off everything and then watch the film carefully. We call it as attention. Attention is a very, very important thing. If you're watching a film with a lot of attention, you will be able to capture, provided you are intelligence. A duffer will watch with a lot of intelligence, nothing will happen because it's a duffer. He never bothered to notice all those things. But if you have developed your intelligence to some level, that's why you people are here. You have spent your 15,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees to be here. Why? There's a specific reason behind it. You have quit each and everything and to be a part of this discussion. Why? Because there is something which you will not get otherwise. So this is my answer. So Purushottam Gogoi, quick.
Sir, my question is, what should be the writing process of an aspirant? And is
Writing
it
process
important
depends
to?
upon again one thing.
Sir, my
Idea.
question isn't.
Idea. What is the big idea you have? Whole script writing can be condensed into one sentence or rather one word. Idea. That's it. Rest is the format. Rest is a format which you can pick up from any book. I have 10 books of the screenplay writing. I can send it to you the PDF file. Read only one. That is more than enough. Rest is all recycling of that thing, and that's it. Everything revolves around one word called ideation. Can you ideate something? We would discuss about that ideation thing. How the ideation is very important. It doesn't matter whether you have BSc Physics or Chemistry honors or Mathematics honors. It has nothing to do with it. If you're intelligent, you can ideate. That is all about. Script writing is all about ideation, nothing else.
Yes, sir. And is it important to write every day? And
not necessary. It is important to think every day. It is important to watch every day. Not necessarily you write something. I write my script into a one-liner. Every day whenever I get some idea, I write down that and email it to me, or I put it in my master file thing. So one line, two line, ideate. I collect my ideas and then I filter them, and as per my need, I keep looking at them every week. So something like that. Not necessarily you need to write everything, but yes, if you are preparing for FTI entrance exam, yes, it is important that you start developing this habit of writing so that you get used to it and you will not be wondering at the time of, particularly in the interview, they do ask you to write a dialogue or develop a scene and things like that. So yes, writing would be helpful, but not necessarily every day. Tushar.
So knowledge about basic camera functions like f-stop number, lens, millimeter, ISO. Is it very imperative?
Not very important, but yes, as a technical knowledge, you should have it. You should have a knowledge of the photography. I'll give you the statement of a person, Vilmos Zsigmond, who shot for Spielberg. There's a documentary also on the Vilmos Zsigmond, directed by a French director. So Vilmos said that I stopped working with the Spielberg because Spielberg knows more about lighting than I know. So lighting has to be cinematographer, not of the director. Director can tell what I'm looking at it. So there was a clash between them and he stopped working. That's what he said. But it's It's a compliment to a director. Every director should be like that, so that cinematographer will refuse to work with him because he knows more than what he knows. So that is my answer, but not necessarily. But yes, aesthetic of lighting is very important for a director, and framing, composition sense, camera movement. These are two important things where directors should develop it sooner or later. But if he has a technical understanding, he will not trouble the cinematographer to ask whether he can shoot in this light condition or blah, 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 blah. He will understand himself and say, okay, I know what it is. So that's my answer. Durgeshwari Devi.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you share the PDF of 5 C's of cinematography if you have
Yes,
it?
I would send it to you guys all tomorrow in your group.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Okay, so we are done for today. 8:06. We are more or less on time. So I am just launching this poll business, which is basically the attendance, which is very important for me to figure it out. So if somebody wants some help later on, I can always say, okay, look, you was hardly here. You were sleeping at your home, so I can't help it. I am interested only on those people who are really, really serious. They may not have intelligence. It doesn't matter. Intelligence would develop. Intelligence would develop with your sincerity and hard work. Believe me, I am the live example in front of you if you think I'm an intelligent person. But if you think anyone else who is a more intelligent person you have ever met, if you ask him, he will say the same thing which I am saying. Intelligence would develop slowly, slowly with your hard work and sincerity. When you will work sincerely, you will work hard, intelligence would definitely develop, for sure. Today's lecture, if you understood 50%, feel very happy. What 50% you have not understood, because there were so many things which I was speaking from experience. It was like a Greek for you. But if you go to Google, make notes of what you have not understood. There are some wonderful video who will describe better than what I described. At least 200% more better they will describe, because they will describe visually. The way I have shown you one video about the aspect ratio. Okay. So good luck. That's it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.